Okay, so for our next lesson, lesson 3.1, the vector addition and the Pythagorean Theorem. So this lesson is the continuation of the previous lesson under the distance and displacement. So hindi ko na-record yung doon, yung discussion. So ito na lang tayo kasi mas mabilis tong maintindihan compared dun sa isa na unang lesson. Kasi yung lesson na yun is just for on how to draw or how to create the vector, the components of the vector. So this part is the computation itself. So magpo-proceed na agad tayo dito. Okay? So for our lesson, first is the vector addition before the Pythagorean theorem. So ano ibig sabihin ng vector addition? So a vector addition is the net force, which is the result of adding up all the force vectors. So during that unit, the rules for summing vectors such as a force vectors were kept relatively simple. Observe the following summations of two force vectors. Pag sinabi nating vector addition yan, from the word itself, vector addition, pinag-a-add niya lahat ng mga vectors na given sa isang problem. So, meron tayo ditong mga examples. So, sa first one, we have a vector here, a line vector going to the right, and then meron siyang measurement which is 5. And then another vector is going to the right din, and then ang measured din niya ay 5. Okay? So, pag pinag-add natin yan, since parehas silang going to the right, that is both positive. Kung titignan natin sa Cartesian plane, so that is both positive. So, pag pinag-add natin yan, that is a 10. 5 plus 5 is equals to 10, or positive 5 plus positive 5, that is equivalent to positive 10. Then, number 2 is vector going to the right, which has a value of 5, plus a vector going to the left, which has a value of 2 or negative 2. So, pag pinag-add natin yan, that is 5 plus negative 2, that will be positive 3. So, hindi lahat ng vector ay pag-aadin lang talaga kasi it depends on the direction of the vector. Kapag siya ay to the right, then the value of the vector is positive. Kapag siya ay to the left, then that is negative. Next one is, we have a vector going to the right, which has a value of 5, plus a vector going to the left, which has a value of 10 or negative 10. Then we have 5 plus negative 10, that will be negative 5. Okay? So next one is a vector going to the right, which has a value of positive 10 or 10, plus a vector going to the left, which has a value of 5 or negative 5. So positive 10 plus negative 5, that will be equal to positive 5. Okay, so another vectors here. So meron tayong vector going up, which has a value of 2. So ang value niya is positive because sa Cartesian plane natin, kapag going up or pataas, that is a positive. Okay, so dun yun makikita sa y-axis. So positive 2 plus positive 2, that will be positive 4. And then we have a vector here, positive 2, plus a vector going down, which is a negative 5. So 2 plus negative 5 is equals to negative 3. Okay? So these rules for summing vectors were applied to free body diagrams in order to determine the net force. So sample applications are shown in the diagram. Okay, kapag nagko-compute naman tayo ng vectors using for example, a force. So etong mga to, this is the object. So there we have a upward force here, upward force of 100 Newton, and then a downward force of 50 Newtons. Kapag pinag-add natin tong dalawang to, this will be a 50 Newtons. Why? Kasi this is a positive 1 and then meron tayo ditong going down na negative 50. So this is a 50, right? Next one is a 100 Newtons. And then meron tayong downward force na 400 Newton. So this will be negative 300 Newton. So yan. Ganun din ang mangyayari dito. So add muna natin yung etong muna bago natin computein yung force going to the right. Okay, so we have 100 newtons. Okay, 100 newtons upward force, and then a 100 newtons downward force. Okay, so since these are both 100, so maka-cancel na yan. So the remaining force will be the force going to the right, which is the 60 newton. So 60 newtons yung total vector force niya. Okay. So not all the vectors are going to the right, left, or up and down. So there are some cases that the vectors will be like this in diagonal form, or meron siyang angle. Okay, so ito yung mga examples ng mga forces na merong angle. Yan. So that's the examples. Okay. So in computing these vectors, we are using variety of methods, such as the Pythagorean Theorem and trigonometric methods, and head-to-tail method using the scaled vector diagram. Yung kanina natin ginawa, yung pag-a-add lang kanina natin dito sa taas, that is the head-to-tail method. But the Pythagorean Theorem and the trigonometric methods, ayun yung susunod nating i-discuss. Okay? Okay, so let's go to the Pythagorean Theorem. So Pythagorean Theorem is super sikat niyan na theorem galing kay Pythagoras. So this is applicable for the triangle. Okay? So a Pythagorean theorem is not applicable for adding more than two vectors. Okay? So yan. So we have a formula, c squared is equals to a squared plus b squared. So that is the formula of the Pythagorean theorem. So yan. So we have here a right triangle. The A is dito yan, the A is the side opposite to an angle. For example, this is the angle. Meron tayo ditong angle. So A is the opposite. C is the hypotenuse. And then B is the side adjacent to angle. Kung nandito man yung angle, that is the B. Okay? Okay. So meron tayo ditong example. A soldier leaves the base camp and hikes 10 meters north and then hikes 10 meters east. Okay? So, ito yung halimbawa nung problem natin. Ito yung figure. So, we have 10 meters dito. 10 meters sa A and then 10 meters din sa B. So, ang hahanapin natin is the hypotenuse or the C. Okay? So, we have the formula c squared is equals to a squared plus b squared. So, substitute lang natin. We have, since this is r, ang variable natin is r, so ang papalit natin is r. Okay, so r squared is equals to 10 meters squared. Palitan natin, substitute natin yung a, which is this one. And then yung b, which is this one. So, pares naman silang 10 meters. So, squared muna natin to. This is, okay, so, 10 squared is equals to 100 plus 10 squared is equals to 100. So, 100 plus 100 is equals to 200. And then, we have a square pa rin dito sa r. So, we need to square it para makancel yung square. So, the square root of 200 is equals to 14.14 meters. So, this is the value of the hypotenuse. Okay, so that's how we compute the problem using the Pythagorean Theorem. Okay, so I want you to try this one. Determine the resultant of the following. Ayan. So, try that. Try to answer let's try these problems.